Are you interested in learning how to organize your business to maximize your profit?
Today we're going to teach you about the 5 buckets and how we organize our day-to-day activities in order to maximize time and profit.
If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so that you get alerted every week when we drop a new video.
One of the things most new investors, and frankly seasoned investors, struggle with is how to organize their day for maximum efficiency.
Ultimately, how to get the most done in the least amount of time.
Right, but not just the most stuff, right?
Right, how to get the most profitable stuff done in the least amount of time.
There's a specific strategy that we developed over the years to get the absolute most out of our time.
Yeah, and we call it the 5 buckets.
I know, it's so sexy. 5 buckets.
What isn't sexy about a bucket? Let's talk about the first one. The first bucket is lead generation. And the very first step in that, this is the most important part of the process, selecting your market based on your strategy. So your strategy, whether it's value add, if you want to go after a value add property, or if you're going after a stabilized property, you got to pick the right market for that.
Once you've selected your market, the next step is to start reaching out to brokers and realtors in that local market to start getting deal flow coming in. And so the idea there is, the thing that we always teach our mastermind students is this is a relationship business and we are in a long-term business. So every relationship we form with every realtor in every market not only serves to provide you possibly a deal now, but also a deal later. One of the things that's super, super common with the students we work with is that first deal, they're like, oh man, I have to work so hard for it, building all these relationships. But this crazy thing happens. After they close that first deal, the second deal comes a little bit faster, and then the third and the fourth, and they start flying in. And now lead generation challenges, it's a complete thing of the past. And that all comes from that very first big push to do outreach with your realtors and brokers in the markets that you select.
Yep. And the other part of lead generation is really cool. It's something that Stacy and I didn't have when we first started, and it's social media. So as you're reaching out to realtors, as you're reaching out to brokers, and just in general, they might look you up. And if your social media profiles don't have anything about multifamily investing on them, they might not, buy into the fact that you're an investor. So we always say, always be marketing. It's an ABM acronym that Stacy said. It's always be marketing. And the first place you start with that is on social media. So as you're posting about yourself, you want to make sure that you actually have the title of multifamily investor. You want to make sure that you're sharing the deals or even sharing the market that you select, and maybe even sharing the value add or the stabilized strategy and the type of deal or property that you're looking for. The more you post about multifamily, the more multifamily you attract.
It's funny because back when you and I were new, when people were telling you about creating an online presence, they were saying, yeah, you got to create a website. Like when you're brand new in real estate, you're just trying to get everything going. Building a website too? Are you kidding? But nowadays with social media, it's like you take your already profile and all you do is just start being more purposeful with what you post. And Jen's right. It literally attracts the people, the partners, and the deals to you.
I mean, honestly, I still don't have that damn website they told me to build.
Right?
Do you?
No. Well, we would have it together.
Right.
Okay, and another part that we would throw into bucket number 1 as far as lead generation is doing networking events or virtual meetups. It depends on what's going on at what time as far as what's available. But what you want to do basically is start connecting with other investors and just getting the word out, building those connections and those relationships, because that's ultimately where your money partners are going to end up coming from.
Yep. Hey, and you might be a little bit nervous or a little bit in your shell about networking. I know Stacy, she's a total extrovert. Just ask her.
Not an extrovert. I'm terrified of networking.
So I want to give you a tip. I'm an extrovert, but I want you to know that when you go to these network events, the very first thing you need to do within the first 30 seconds you enter the room, find the first person you just saw, the first person you looked down, and make it a point to go up and introduce yourself. Okay, that's number 1. Get out of your comfort zone as soon as you get there, but make sure you go. Okay, so now bucket number 2. It's all about analyzing deals and making offers. Now, it's no secret that this is a numbers game, right? The more offers you put in, the more likely you're gonna be in the end zone closing on a deal. So I have some very basic, bare minimum numbers that I want you to start doing, and that is you need to be analyzing 25 deals a week. If you think about that, if you're doing it even just 5 days out of the week, 5 deals of those 5 days, analyze 5 deals. Or you could even do it 6 days a week and do, 4 and a 0.333. She's gonna tell me what the average is. 25 deals a week, cut it up however you need to. But your goal is for that week to make anywhere from 1 to 3 offers on a property each week. Now you might be thinking, Jen, that's insane. That is insane. Well, it's just basically the table stakes to sit at the table. You gotta do these numbers, analyzing the deals. You're gonna get faster at it the more you analyze. You might analyze 5 and realize, oh man, all these 5 are awesome. I'm putting in all these offers, right? And you might think, oh crap, what if they all get accepted? What do I do then? Well, don't worry, we'll teach you how to wholesale them to other investors in another video, not today. So, but ultimately, if you're analyzing those deals, 25 a week, and you have them coming in, now that you've got your team set up and realtors are sending you deals in your pipeline and it's bursting, you gotta get through those deals, because if you don't analyze them with consistency, they're gonna stop sending them, right? So make sure 25 is the minimum, and keep reaching out to realtors until you get that 25 coming into you.
Okay, so bucket number 3 is the time that you're doing due diligence and closing. So previously we talked about analyzing a whole bunch of deals and making offers, right? Numbers game, offer, offer, offer. Oftentimes the answer is gonna be no, right? What you can offer and what the seller wants sometimes just does not meet. That's fine. But when it does meet up, now you're moving into the next phase. So when the seller accepts your offer, now begins the due diligence period. And depending on whether you're doing a 2 to 4 unit multifamily or doing an apartment that's 5 or more units, depending on the number of units, that's gonna drive the amount of due diligence time frame that you request. So typically on a 2 to 4 unit, 10 days is probably the most common time frame that we see. And as far as apartments 5+ units, that's gonna depend largely on the size of the building. It's not uncommon to ask for 30 days. But if you're dealing with a 15 or 20 unit, you need to have enough time to not only do all of the financial due diligence, looking at financials and looking at leases and analyzing all of that, you also have to do the physical due diligence. So now that you're in your due diligence period and you're getting through all your numbers, you're starting to figure out where things are settling. Then, let's say you're looking for a partner, you're looking to get lending, you're gonna do an investor packet. An investor packet is basically a document you create that gives all the information about the deal so that someone who's considering doing the deal with you can look at it and say, oh, okay, actually, yeah, that's a good fit. That meets my goals, that meets my return requirements, etc. So you're gonna be doing a whole bunch of pre-closing tasks, and that ranges from everything from locking down your financing. Now, typically you would have already been starting to call lenders and build your team, but now it's like rubber meets the road. So you're getting your financing locked down. The other pre-closing activities are things like if you're doing a rehab project, starting to nail down which contractor you're gonna use, get the contract signed, which property manager you're gonna use, signing your property management agreement, talking to the title company and making sure they have everything they need, talking to your attorney, do they have your LLC ready, talking to your insurance company, making sure that you have the right insurance set to bind on the day of closing. So we say pre-closing activities, but it's like herding cats. It's complete mass chaos during this time.
Like pushing rope.
It really, I mean, you're just like, you know, cat, herd cats, push ropes. It's nuts. But that is one of the times where you don't want to be making more offers when you're at that time, because you really need to focus on your goals. And that's part of why we teach you guys the 5 buckets, so that you recognize you're no longer in bucket 1 or in bucket 2. You are wholly in bucket 3, and you need to focus on that deal because of how many different moving pieces there are at that time. And then once all the pre-closing activities are done, you're getting up to closing, your closing day comes, well then it probably goes, because you always close late, so just know that going in. You're always gonna close late, most likely. But then closing day comes, you sign your documents, you wire your funds, and boom, now you're the owner.
If you're liking this video, then click the like button and show us some love. Why do you think it is that when new investors are getting started, they just struggle with organizing their time?
Well, I will tell you that it was 100% one of my most challenging things when I was new. I did not know how to organize all my time, partly because I didn't exactly understand what all the pieces were. And that's part of why we want to actually walk you through the 5 buckets, which takes you through the transaction, but I didn't exactly know where everything fits. So you're doing your best to be proactive and handle everything that needs to be handled, but sometimes when you're new, you don't even exactly know what that all is. And even once you close your first deal, sometimes things were so crazy, you don't even know what happened. So sometimes it takes getting through your first, 2 to 4 deals before you start settling in and going, oh, okay, I see how things flow, I see the timing, I get it, now I've seen it a few times. But I think being armed with this kind of knowledge is really gonna help you guys have an easier time of it than I did. I was a hot mess. It was crazy and chaotic.
how to organize their time, how to do these 5 buckets. And if you're struggling with that, then comment below, let us know, and then I'll reach out in the comments and I'll get you access to that tool that I give to our students so that you can get back on track, plan everything out, get your time right, and figure out how to manage those 5 buckets. All right, bucket number 4, that is when you are literally doing the rehab, rent, and refi. Well, actually, that's if you have small multifamily, right? Apartments is a little bit different, right?
Right, so yeah, for 2 to 4 units, we're doing that. For apartments, it's whatever your value add activities are. If you're doing a value add, so value add activities would be things like raising the rents, possibly refining, getting your expenses down, just really
figuring out other ways to increase revenue.
So for apartments, it might be a little bit different. And we're talking if you're doing value add. If you did a stabilized deal, then this bucket doesn't really exist for you. So for apartments, everything you're doing is intended to increase your net operating income. So that might be raising the revenues, which might include rehabbing to get higher market rent, or decreasing expenses. But everything you're doing is to hit that bottom line and make it higher. That's for apartments.
Totally. So within bucket 4, the activities that you're going to be doing, the very first one is you're going to need a scope of work for the rehab that you're doing. So you're basically going to need to meet with the contractor and identify, first of all, we always say 3 bids, right? So if you have a rehab going on, get 3 bids. So you're going to have to pick a contractor based on their bid and their scope of work, and you're gonna have to look and see, what does that look like for me? And then identify with the contractor how frequently you're gonna meet during this entire rehab so that we could stay on task, right? That's all of those things. So if you have those meetings, then you're gonna have to do that in stage 4. You're gonna have to make sure those meetings are on your calendar. You're gonna have to make sure the touch points are on your calendar so that you're balancing and organizing your day or your week. Then the next thing is like, so let's just say the rehab is done, and now it's like, I need to meet with the PM, the property manager, to talk about how are we gonna pre-market this, right? We gotta get it out there so that we can get occupancy. The goal for occupancy is 100%. And so you're ultimately managing meetings at this point during that phase, because you're not the one that's there swinging the hammer, right? You're not the one that's out there showing the property to get it, the occupancy up. No, you're not. What you're doing is, at this point in time, you're managing your time in the form of a meeting in your calendar, on the same page, and really just leading through that process, the process of rehab and the process of getting occupancy to 100%.
All right, so that leads us to bucket number 5, right? Which is manage. You have to manage the asset. So Jen was talking about meeting with the property manager to like start lining out the plan. So once the property is stabilized, meaning all the work has been done and now it's just this cash flowing machine, you don't want to just forget that your property exists. Nobody on the planet cares more about your asset than you do. So at a very minimum, at least once a month, you're going to be reviewing the reports from your property management company, and you're looking for anything that looks unusual. And even if there's a repair that doesn't look that unusual, calling every once in a while to kind of grill them a little bit and find out, was that really necessary? That kind of thing will keep them on their toes and also let them know that you are watching and paying attention. So managing your asset is super important. And when I was brand new as an investor, I remember everyone talking about, oh, mailbox money and passive income. And so in my mind, I was like, oh, there's nothing you need to do after you own it. But that's not true. Now, we are not talking about going to manage it yourself. We actually want you to create freedom, location and time freedom, which means you're going to have a third-party property management. So your role in it is to pay attention to the reports that are coming in, what's going on at the property, and keeping your property manager accountable to reporting to you so that you know exactly what's going on.
If you do want to get into multifamily real estate investing, but you're not sure what's the first step, the second, or the third, you can click the link in the description below and a member of our team will hop on the phone with you and talk about your goals, your resources, and how we can hold your hand and get you to where you want to be.
The other thing we want to tell you is that we have a free Facebook group. It's called Multifamily Real Estate Investing. So if you want to be around people that are like you, on the journey, looking to learn, come join us in that Facebook group. We do tons of free education and content there. And every week, Jen and I make ourselves available for a question and answer session. It's live, it's in Zoom, we're face to face. You gotta come to the Facebook group, register, go to events, and then we'll see you there. But any questions you have about real estate, we're there to answer them for you.
Hey, if you enjoyed this video and you want to learn more from us, then watch this next video from us on dropping your 9 to 5 to get financial freedom. We'll see you guys next week.